What's the most common way or method of practicing meditation?
I'm going to answer this and say I think the most powerful is before and after physical training.
Mm,
And this is something I've been exploring over the last sort of 7 or 8 years. But starting physical training by calming your mind and getting connected to your body, going into the physical training more present, so you can feel your body more, and then directly after is when you've got an endorphin release. You're kind of more connected to your body. It usually feels good. That's a really sweet spot to then step out of our habitual thinking patterns and then just come home to the body again. And it usually feels good. And so I think that's a way to kind of supercharge, if you like, meditation practices. And really good if you're in front of a screen all day. If you're in front of a screen all day and you expect yourself to switch your mind off and meditate, no chance. Like we've got to get into our bodies a lot of the time.
as you were talking then, like a light bulb went off my mind. It reminded me of a TED talk that I watched years ago. And it was a clinical psychologist. And he said that if you could bottle up all of the physiological benefits of exercise and put it into a pill, he said it'd be the highest selling pill ever. And I kind of relate to that because from my experience, like exercise has been so helpful. Running in particular,
Yeah.
I see as my antidepressant. Like it doesn't solve my
Mm.
problems, but it helps me move from a way where I feel overwhelmed and bogged down and feel stuck. I still might feel overwhelmed, bogged down, and
Yeah.
stuck, but I feel a bit better in my body afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I don't think I spend enough time connecting with how I feel before and afterwards, but I do it anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like an easy way in where
Exactly.
I'm doing the exercise anyway. I might be going to the gym, but
Yeah.
it's like a free hit of meditating as well.
Yeah, exactly. And integrating it like that just makes it way more accessible. I work with a lot of people who run and then they warm down and they use that period after the run to quiet and then start meditating. And it's just a real natural segue into the mental side of looking after ourselves as well.
And just so I'm like clear with people that have never tried meditating before, let's say you're going to go for a run, you might
Yeah.
meditate before. Is that just sitting still and is it focusing on the breath or like,
Yeah, I mean, look, anyone listening can have access to my meditation practices if they want. They want to practice a 3 minute meditation before. I think the main principle is like noticing what's going on a mental level, like all the different thoughts from the day, whether your awareness is going towards an argument or something's happened at work, or noticing that, and then being like, okay, that's there. What else is going on? And then the breath is moving the body. There might be tension in the body, and it's just coming back to that more baseline awareness that we often are not in touch with on daily life. We're up here thinking all the time. So it's like, great, we've got all these thoughts. We're not demonizing them. We're human, and then we're learning to just step into the sensations in the body, the movements of the breath, really simple stuff, and then just bring some calm into the being. We're all human beings. We're stepping into the being and just bringing calm into our experience. It's that simple, but it's bloody hard. Yeah, it's hard, and it's a lifelong practice. It's not something we crack. It's not something we do a course and then suddenly we've got it. But it's a really profound practice.
a lot of the people you work with are um, elite athletes at the highest level, CEOs, senior leaders, amongst many other people in community work that you do too. What are the most common motivations and reasons why people decide they want to meditate and set up this practice?
I think headspace create like particularly leaders and athletes, when there's a lot going on, it can just feel overwhelming. So many different priorities, so many different pools on energy, responsibility, and like having that ability to have moments where you step out of that chaos and see things more clearly and come back to yourself and make better decisions. Stop, reduce your reactions to people, be more intentional in meetings, show up better in training. It's like it just creates this kind of superpower basically. And usually a leader or an athlete, it'll take a bit of time to be like, how can I give time to something where I'm not being productive? Once they start realizing it allows me to then show up with more energy, more clarity, more dynamism, it's like motivation just naturally, like, yeah, it just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, it's kind of as simple as that, but it takes a bit of yeah, it takes someone to really understand it in their own experience, not just to do it 'cause it's a good idea.
For years, I've had times of having a meditation practice on and off,
Yeah.
and I feel like I've fallen into a few traps that I'd love to talk about. And you touched on some people find that some of the elite really successful people you work with find that it gives them headspace and makes them more
Yeah, yeah.
productive. I've fallen into the trap of my main motivation for meditating being productivity and seeing it like a productivity hack that can help me actually do more,
Yeah.
which I found has led me to burnout. Like from the people you've worked with, how do you try and find that balance?
Well, I guess I'd come back to my own experience first. When I started meditating, I'd say I got so hooked on it, but it was the very driven part of me. It was the athlete in me. I'd found this thing. I committed 7 years of my life. I took a sabbatical from everyday life and went so deep into it to understand it. But some of that was just the drive of like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to get the best at this. And that energy is great. Like, let's not like, I don't want to say that's wrong because it's amazing that we've got this driven energy, and it can help us form habits. It can be like, yeah, why not use meditation to be more productive? What's wrong with that? Like, it's not bad, but it there's also got to be there's got to be another motivation at some point, which is like, what's it like to do something just for the sake of doing something because I'm worthy of just doing it for my own well-being and who I am as a person. When that motivation starts to kick in, then a whole new territory opens up. If you just do it on the level of I'm doing this to make myself more productive, you can only go so far with that motivation. When you start to realize that actually I can take space just for the sake of it, like way more creativity comes. It's a much deeper motivation. But both can exist. Like I want leaders and athletes to be like smashing it and using meditation to like, and I want them to be using it to deepen their motivations and their confidence, that they're still and confident regardless of what's going on, or whether it's working for them or not.
I like the idea of a toxic fuel, and I want new language for this because the toxic doesn't quite get it right. But I think that's how a lot of people talk about it, where we have this drive that can fuel us.
Yeah,
So it sounds like we've had something similar where it's like
yeah,
pushed us into this deep. But if the drive is to achieve greater outward success or productivity or results, it becomes a bit unsustainable.
yeah. Well, for me, it's like that's why you need a guide to help you kind of understand where you are and what your motivations are. But increasingly, I want to say that those cruder motivations are really important. And over time, you start to realize that there's other motivations there that can emerge. So it's not, I don't want to be black and white about this.
Another trap that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
perhaps fell into, and you mentioned this earlier, it was I go in to meditate to try and achieve an end state of like
yeah,
being more calm or being more relaxed. I was trying not to feel what I was feeling now, whereas what you said earlier was that one of the benefits of meditation is being with what's there.
yeah,
I'm still working on this. Could you explain that
yeah.
a bit more?
I think it's so easy to have expectations. You might have a nice meditation that feels good, and then you're like, you want it again, you want it again, you want it again. It almost becomes like a pill or something. And the real trick, and again, this takes time for this to soften, is just to try and honor whatever's going on as just okay, just as it is. There's a real power in that, and you're not expecting to have a good experience or a bad experience. You're just being honest with whatever's there. And I think that's a really powerful place to be because it's really creative. You're really alive to what's present. That might be a really powerful, calm kind of meditation experience, or it might be that you're really irritated and you just got to be with that. So it's just a practice of self-honesty, and that just takes time. Um, but it stops things building up because when we're not honest with ourselves and we're always trying to get a different experience to what's going on, that tension builds up and it builds up and we get stressed and our mental health gets affected. So, meditation taken seriously and understood properly, it's a self-honesty practice and a kind of just, whatever's present is totally welcome.
On a practical level, so if I'm going to sit down and
Yeah.
start meditating, and I go into it like I did, where I want to feel calm, but I actually sit with a difficult sensation. On a practical level, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's really difficult. Because I think one of my most profound teachings in meditation was 2 years of having chronic back pain. So I'd done all my sort of ordination training, and I was sort of thought I was graduating meditation school, if you like, and then I developed this chronic back pain for 2 years where um, I couldn't actually sit down basically for 2 years, and the pain was so intense. And I learned to I learned to be with the sense that, like, the thoughts were way more painful than the actual pain itself. The thoughts were, I'm gonna have to stop my career. I'm never gonna be able to go to the gym again. This could really mess up the whole of my life. I'm gonna be disabled essentially. And so when I learned to like just come away from those thoughts and just be with the pain it wasn't fixed. It was like the intensity would change. Sometimes I'd become aware of it and it would open up. It would become, and actually I've been through a whole process now where I don't experience any pain in my back
Wow.
at all. And a lot of that is to do with changing how I related to the pain and making some changes in my life. So I think pain's a really fascinating topic in meditation, because if you come away from how you're thinking about the pain and just learn to be with it, it's way more manageable, and it can often help the pain or help the tensions in our bodies and the emotions that get stuck release. So it's a profound teacher.
Are there any ever times when, for your own practice or people
Yeah.
you work with, where you might say, do you know what? Maybe we don't go into that.
Yeah, most of the time. Like I'm talking from having like a really profound experience there, but a lot of the time, I think starting a meditation practice, you've got to feel pleasure. You've got to feel like this feels good. You've got to feel motivated to do it. Yeah, you don't want to tackle all the biggest things all at once, and it has to be done very gradually. So yeah, yeah, a lot of the time we don't need to go digging in meditation for things. But yeah,
I'm fascinated by the mind body connection and
yeah,
how, I think, first of all, how we split the two, which just
yeah,
seems nuts. Like, you could say something truly awful to me now, and the feeling, I probably feel it in my body.
yeah.
But I think that as a society, we massively neglect that.
Yeah, I think. Well, for me, it's so fascinating because as I look back, like I say, I spent about 7 years training my body and then 7 years training my mind, and then doing what I do now, another 7 years, and that's been how do you bring the two together, like physical and mental training, and like you say, the body and the mind are so interconnected. If I were to like swear at you now, you'd feel it you'd be like, oh, the body uh, holds the tells the score. Like the body is where we sort of sense things, and then we make sense of them, interpret them mentally, and they're interconnected. So I think it's just so obvious. And I think treating the mind and body as connected in meditation is so important. So we bring all of our experience along with us.